We are only as strong as we are united, as weak as we are divide. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Welcome to Well Read, a program about a little bit of this and a little bit of that at your Ames Public Library. I'm Jerry Hyde, Youth Services Manager at the Ames Public Library, and this time we're bringing to you some Harry Potter magical wizardry and knowledge that we are inviting you as a public to come and share that knowledge with us at a Harry Potter Battle of the Books that will be happening in August. Now, we can't do that alone here at the Ames Public Library, so I have some wonderful partners. You know, we have to do that divide. If we don't have partners, then we have partners. So my first partner, or our first partner, is Sarah. And Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be part of this wizardry event that we're having?
So my name is Sarah Nelson, and I teach and do research at Iowa State. And I've been really lucky because Jerry and I have been able to do some collaborative projects together over the past couple of years. And so when this Harry Potter Battle of the Books came up, of course, I couldn't resist.
Well, and I think, didn't you kind of give us a little nudge to get it started?
Well, I think it was a team effort, but yeah, I have two girls and a husband that just love Harry Potter, and they love Battle of the Books, the 5th and 6th grade, and then the 7th grade one now, and so just getting to be a part of this is, to me, really exciting because I used to teach 3rd grade, and I'd always have students that would come to me with these Harry Potter books, and they were just so excited, and they got me started on them, and then it just kind of rolled from there, and so this will be really fun. I think it'll be a good time.
And I think we'll if viewers, if you kind of note the 3rd grade level of reading, and we'll keep on talking because that also is part of the whole phenomenon of the Harry Potter and the 7 books that are in there in the series. Because 3rd grade, we've had even as young as 1st grade start reading them, and yes, it's fabulous. But we have lots of adults that read them as well.
Yeah, actually, the undergrads that I teach the literacy methods classes also at Iowa State, and I'll ask them which books were the most important to you as you were growing up, and Harry Potter is almost always one for everybody.
It's one of them. So it certainly changed the literary world and in the library world when it came out in the late 1990s. So, and going on, not necessarily chronologically, but we've invited Tomby, our teen librarian here at the Ames Public Library. And Tomby, could you share a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, so I'm Tomby. I'm the teen librarian, which means I focus on services for kids in grades 6 through 12. I didn't start reading Harry Potter until I was probably 17 or 18, so I missed the first 3 books, sadly. I was in high school when the first one came out, and all my friends were reading them, and I was like, I'm not going to read this kid's book because I'm so much more mature than that. And then finally, of course, I did eventually read the first one, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
So how long have you been here at the Ames Public Library now, Tomby?
3.5 years.
So
yeah.
And in that time we've made great strides in bringing in those teens and including them in all sorts of activities here at the library. And we'll get to one of their major fundraisers here in a minute that we're going to add to our Harry Potter mix. And lastly, but not least, is a new collaborative partner in this that was founded by just conversations and a neighbor asking her to come investigate this. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Susan Yeager. I'm a English professor at Iowa State. I've been there for 25 years. My background is actually in medieval literature. There are connections between medieval literature and children's literature, but especially between medieval literature and Harry Potter. There's a lot of medievalism about it. But I really got into Harry Potter just by reading over my daughter's shoulder. She happened to get into the books when probably she was in middle school, and I like to read what my children are reading just to see. Boy, did I get hooked. And I really do think that Harry Potter is what you might call capital L literature. We don't really talk about that so much in literary circles or critical circles, but it's really literature. I know it is because you can reread it and always find the new thing. There's something new. And it does appeal, as you mentioned, to adults and to children. I started to teach honors seminars in the Iowa State Honors Program about Harry Potter. In fact, I'm finishing one up now. I must have done this at least 8 or 10 times. And the students are constantly finding connections with Harry Potter, personal connections, a hobby that's a connection, what they're studying. Graphic design, for example, can connect immediately to Harry Potter, to the films, and so on. It's really endlessly interesting. So when my neighbor told me that there would be a battle of the books and I might be able to write some of the questions, I've been poring over the books and looking for the really tough ones for the final round.
All right. Well, and I guess a word of caution that when you come into the library and you happen to have a conversation with me, you never know what might happen from a result of that. But so we've talked a little bit about the battle, and now not everybody may understand what a battle of the books is. And now, Tommy, you've been a judge for several of our 5th, 6th, and 7th grade battles. And can you kind of explain to us what is a battle of the books?
So a battle of books is teams compete against each other in a trivia competition. So they all read the same set of books. And of course, for this one, it's books 1 through 7 of Harry Potter. And then in their teams, they're each given 10 questions. There's 3 rounds. They have the opportunity to answer as many questions correctly as they can. Once they get through rounds 1 and 2, the questions start to get a little bit harder. The teams who got the highest scores in rounds 1 and 2 will compete in the 3rd round of the battle.
So basically they get 10 points for each question they answer correctly. There's 10 questions in each round, and in this particular battle, we are going to reserve rooms or teams enough to put as many teams as we can. So our max teams is 36 for each of the battles, and there again, I'm making an assumption everyone knows that which battles that we're doing. So we actually have a family battle. So we can have one adult. There has to be one adult member on that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be mom or dad. It just has to be an adult member, and then the rest of the team can be children who are interested in the Harry Potter books. And I believe it's up to 6 members in that particular team. And the teams also can be, those family teams can also have some preschool, although they don't count as part of the 6 people. But we want it to be a family affair. And then there is a teen battle. And the teen battle, 2 to 4 members in that team. And that is always... we can talk about the numbers of teams, but that's the requirement of, or the outline of that, the parameters that we have set right now for those teams. And then for the first time, we are going to offer an adult battle of the books. And that one will again have the 36 teams that we can reserve. And we already have, in fact, I believe that's probably the most pre-registered teams that we have, or the adult. So they're definitely wanting to do this. And then what I think is very awesome is the top 2 teams of each of those battles will come together for a Tri-Wizard event the following Saturday. So, and again, who can help me with what date that is in August? We have the August 18th, which is a Thursday night for family battle. And then the teen is when, Tomby?
That one is August 20th, which is a Saturday at 2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock. And then we're going to keep all the team rooms all set up and do an after-hours program that same day at 6 o'clock for the battle for the adults. The Tri-Wizard event is that following Saturday on August 27th at 2 o'clock here in the auditorium. And so they will come to the battle to see whether or not the families or the adults or the teens will win the top honors. So Susan, you talked a little bit about the question creation and the difficulty of the questions that you are creating. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of criteria is going in on that without giving us any
On the
direct
questions?
hints on? Yes, on the questions.
Well, the question, one of the things that I think we need to make sure of is that the questions have one specific correct answer. And so it's interesting to be a teacher who often has to create a quiz that has one specific correct answer. It gives you a little bit of experience. So we want to avoid ambiguity. We want to make sure the answer is right. And you know, they're not all going to be, you know, what color was the leaf on the third tree when Hagrid walked. They'll start with general knowledge. Did you read the book? Do you remember the book? But then those more advanced questions will be for the ones who have aced the first ones and are going on. So it was funny to go through the books again. I was just paging through one of them last night and noticing tiny details of characters' names that I wouldn't remember. But that if you've spent the summer, if you're taking a trip and you've got the audiobook going in the car, that might not be a bad idea to get ready for
and
those.
take notes along the way.
I
I mean,
don't
we
know.
want you to have fun with this,
course.
but I know different teams have different strategies. And Tommy, along the years, we've seen some different strategies. You want to address some of the team strategies?
Yeah, some teams actually divide up the books. So, you know, one person on a team will read books 1 through 3, and someone will read books 4 and 5. Sometimes teams will have every member of the team read every book. That one is probably to a team's best advantage because if someone like chokes and forgets, there's usually someone else on the team who can remember. Yeah, so those are probably the top two.
And you've had some experience too, Sarah, in writing questions. And do you have any hints for our teams that might want to participate in this and how they should go about in their strategy?
Yeah, I think taking notes while you're reading is really helpful. And then it's interesting, I've had a couple people come up to me and say there's some online quizzes already available.
Oh.
So they've been, just kind of taking them to brush up on things. And it's funny because some of them have been really hard. And they're like, they're really hard. And I said, well, you got to keep reading. But I think just taking notes and talking and then asking each other questions and kind of quizzing each other is a good way to go. So.
Well, and one wants to remember that all the questions, and I'm going to say again, all the questions are from the books, not from the movies. So you can't do that little cliff note type of thing and just watch the movies and come prepared, because the questions are not from the movies, they are from the books. And we have quite the team of question creators as well. And Tommy, I know you've got some volunteers helping you with that. You gave them some words of wisdom. Would you like to share some of those words of wisdom? 'Cause, and let's talk about the number of questions we have to. I know you did some math.
Yes, I did some battle math. I think for each book we're writing, I think it's something around 150 questions per book to make sure that we have enough questions for our family, teen, and adult, and that all questions are different, so none of the questions will be repeated across battles, and then even more difficult questions for that final battle. So ultimately it ends up being something like almost 1,000 questions.
Yeah, I was
writing.
thinking it was over 1,000 questions that we that people are gathering the questions, and then they are compiled on a Google Doc that only Tomby will see, and then she will finesse them in the end to make sure that they're all written in a good grammatical way, and that there is in fact an answer and a page number, and we'll be working from one set of books, the same copyright that we will have available at the battle itself. So if there are any challenges, we will have our ducks all in a row, or our little wizard wands all in a row, and be able to make our little magic potion or invisible cloak. Maybe we'll just close that and cover and find those answers for you. But remember, we are serious about how we create the questions, and I'm sure you will be serious about how you go about your strategy in playing the game. But it is all for fun and for the promotion of a great set of books that we have. So I'm going to circle back to that great work that we have. You kind of hinted to that, Susan, about how it's L, literacy with a big L.
Yeah, capital
So tell
L
us a little
literature.
bit more about the classes and what you teach
Oh,
in
okay.
this, and the books themselves. That-
Well, when I started, there were only 3 books out, believe it or not. And I thought it was a heck of a trilogy. And then it kept going and going. I thought, I really thought that 3 was enough. She could have stopped there. But obviously, she had a bigger plan in mind. And I think book 7 brings everything full circle. And so I think that the students now look, I tell them when they come into the seminar, they need to have already read the books. We don't have time to do that. So they will look at the big picture, they look at character development, they look at the structure and how things do come full circle. One little example that actually a graduate student pointed out to me recently, because graduate students also do their theses on Harry Potter, that Hagrid comes on the motorcycle to bring baby Harry to Privet Drive. And Hagrid is also one of the people who takes Harry away from Privet Drive, but he also is the one who brings the apparently lifeless Harry back to the castle. So, Hagrid the deliverer. It's sort of a theme that's consistent. So those are the things, those complicated things make it really literature. And my students are mostly technology, STEM students, Iowa State, but they really love the recreation, right? The relaxation that comes from these books. And it'll be fun for us to have questions and answers and trivia. The book is much more, the set of books I should say, is much more than trivial. I mean, they really do have intellectual content, I think, even spiritual, emotional. It's serious literature. And for families together to read something like, I remember Dumbledore gives a speech after Cedric dies, when there's a choice between what is easy and what is hard, remember. So she's quite moralistic, but it's woven into a magical world that's just endlessly fun to read.
And I can remember in the library world when the very first one came out, and how the big there weren't the big events that they were like after 4 and 5 when the movies started coming out, and being here at midnight with the releases of the new book and handing them all out. And I mean, when I came here to Ames was one of I think it was the 5th book that came out, and we were here at midnight and had been doing different types of Harry Potter type of games and things like that, and handing out our first 60 holds. And I had a line item budget just for Harry Potter, the Harry Potter books and Harry Potter books on CD. And then, many of us through the years too saw not only the younger readers want to read this, but we saw, a great number of adults that came back into the reading world and started reading again just because of Harry Potter. And it got them interested again in being able to read for pleasure and read to have your own personal enjoyment. And so it was awesome as a librarian to watch the world change in that area. Also in the young adult area as well, because as the older ones came out, that area or that genre of fiction also got to be more and more popular, or more focused in that area. In the fantasy world of what he tried and what he does in his own as a character. And I always think about, J.K. Rowling submitted that manuscript like 7 times, I believe, before someone took it and decided to, the publisher in England took it to to publish, and Scholastic took it here in the United States to publish. I often wonder what those publishers or those representatives from those other publishing companies thought.
Yeah.
But even besides all that, you know, it is literature with a capital L, and will stand the test of time, definitely. So just a reminder, the battle is in August. August 18th is for the families, that Thursday evening. On Saturday afternoon, the following Saturday on the 20th, it is for the teens. And then that evening of the 20th is for the adult teams to participate. The winners, or the top 2 teams of each of those, will go into a Tri-Wizard battle that following Saturday. And the public, whether or not you're a Harry Potter, you want to be on a Harry Potter team, or just to come and watch, there will be plenty of room for you to watch this event unfold as well, and to celebrate this great work of literature. And come to the library. I perused the shelves this morning, and we have like 5 copies of of the whole total series. So people are reading, people are signing up. We have close to 20,
I would say closer to 30.
30 teams that have already pre-registered. And that's for the total, the 3 different ones. So we still have 120, total teams is what we are going to approximately, that we will be registering. So there's time. Visit our webpage, and at the amespubliclibrary.org webpage, and you will find on the kids or the teens page the frequently asked questions of the Harry Potter battle and the times of those events. So come and enjoy with us the magical reading and the magical changes that Harry Potter have made for each and every one of us in our lives, whether or not you are part of the team or part of the audience that helps the teams and cheer them on. So until next time, read a little Harry Potter and come and visit us, and we'll help you find those books on our shelves. Thank you.